It's a good bounce back win for us today. I thought we started the game with the right tone on the defensive end. And so that was that was by design.
It was the announcement that everyone feared, but nobody actually thought would happen. After months of silence, cryptic interviews, and one of the most controversial Olympic snubs in sports history, the bridge between Caitlin Clark and Team USA hasn't just been burned. It has been completely incinerated. While fans were hoping for a reconciliation before the next international cycle, coach Cheryl Reeve has reportedly doubled down on her stance, leading to a shocking development that insiders are calling the final straw. If you thought the 2024 roster drama was bad, what just happened behind closed doors has changed the future of women's basketball forever. We are witnessing the total collapse of the relationship between the face of the sport and the institution that is supposed to represent it. The latest explosion stems from a closed-door training camp that was supposed to be a fresh start for the program. According to leaked reports from inside the gym, what should have been Clark's opportunity to prove herself turned into a blatant display of disrespect. Witnesses claim that during crucial scrimmage runs, the Fever superstar wasn't just treated like a rookie, she was actively iced out. We are talking about the most dangerous scorer on the planet being forced to stand in the corner while the coaching staff ran plays for veterans who are arguably past their prime. When Clark allegedly asked for clarity on her role, the response she got wasn't coaching. It was a cold shoulder that signaled exactly where she stood in the hierarchy. This wasn't about basketball strategy, it was a message. But the real spark that lit this fire came from coach Cheryl Reeve herself. Instead of diffusing the tension, Reeve has continued to make comments that fans are interpreting as a direct shot at Clark's style of play. In a recent interaction with the media, when asked about integrating young superstars into the system, Reeve's response was dismissive, focusing heavily on chemistry and paying dues. It is the same old narrative used to justify the Olympic snub, but this time it feels personal. It is becoming impossible to ignore the theory that this isn't about basketball anymore. It is about a coach refusing to let a 22-year-old phenom dictate the culture of her team. Reeve appears determined to prove that the system is bigger than any single player, even if that player is the only reason millions of people are tuning in. So what did Caitlin Clark do? She didn't throw a tantrum, and she didn't take to social media to complain. According to sources close to her camp, she effectively quit without saying a word. The reports suggest that Clark has declined invitations for upcoming mini-camps, signaling that she is done jumping through throws for a coaching staff that clearly doesn't want her there. It is a power move that screams, "I don't need you, you need me." Clark is pivoting her focus entirely to the WNBA and her off-season training, leaving Team USA to figure out how to market a team that is missing the biggest draw in the sport. She has realized that her brand is strong enough to survive without the Olympic rings. But can Team USA survive without her? This silent resignation has sent absolute panic through the offices of USA Basketball and their broadcast partners. They know the number. The ratings for the WNBA exploded solely because of Clark, while the national team's viewership has remained stagnant in comparison. Executives know that a 2028 Olympic run without Caitlin Clark is a financial disaster waiting to happen. There are already whispers that major sponsors are pressuring the federation to intervene, potentially forcing a choice between a Hall of Fame coach and the generational talent that pays the bill. Nike, who has invested millions in Clark, cannot be happy seeing their signature athlete sidelined by a coach who seems stuck in the past. The money talks, and right now the money is screaming that this situation needs to be fixed. To make matters worse, this isn't just a coach versus player beef. It is tearing the locker room apart. While some veteran players are reportedly siding with Reeve, believing that the hierarchy must be respected, a new wave of younger talent is looking at this situation with horror. They see how the face of the league is being treated and are wondering if they are next. If the rumors are true, the chemistry that Reeve claims to be protecting is actually rotting from the inside out. The toxicity has reached a level where players are reportedly walking on eggshells, afraid that supporting Clark publicly will land them on the bench right next to her. The divide between the old guard and the new era has never been wider, and it is threatening to derail the team's dominance on the global stage. We have to look at the specifics of the alleged sabotage during the camp to understand why Clark walked away. Insiders described a session where the offensive sets were deliberately designed to keep the ball out of Clark's hands. In a sport where rhythm is everything, stripping a playmaker of the ball is essentially clipping their wing. Every time Clark made a cut or called for a screen, she was reportedly waved off or ignored by teammates who were following strict orders from the sideline. It was a humiliating exercise in futility. Imagine being the best shooter in the world and being relegated to a decoy for an entire practice session. It is the kind of psychological warfare that breaks lesser players, but for Clark, it seemingly just clarified her decision. The fallout extends beyond the court and into the very reputation of USA basketball. For decades, the program has prided itself on fielding the absolute best talent available. By alienating Clark, they are violating their own core principle. Fans are flooding social media, calling the organization a country club where connections matter more than skill. The integrity of the selection process is being questioned like never before. If the goal is to win gold medals, leaving home the most dynamic offensive weapon in the game is malpractice. It feeds into the growing sentiment that the current leadership is more interested in maintaining their personal fiefdoms than in evolving with the game. There is also a darker theory circulating among analysts that this was the plan all along. By making the environment so hostile and uninviting, the coaching staff may have been trying to force Clark to quit so they wouldn't have to cut her again. Cutting her causes a media firestorm. Having her choose to step away allows them to spin the narrative that she wasn't committed or couldn't hack it. It is a Machiavellian strategy, but it has backfired. Instead of looking like a quitter, Clark looks like the victim of a coordinated freeze-out, and the public sentiment is overwhelmingly on her side. The fans aren't buying the narrative that Clark isn't good enough. They saw what she did in the WNBA. They know the truth. Let us talk about the Coach Reeve factor in more depth. Reeve is a legend, undeniably, with a trophy case full of rings. But successful coaches often struggle when the game changes underneath their feet. Clark represents a style of basketball, high volume, deep range, pace, and space, that contradicts the traditional structured, post-heavy style Reeve has championed for years. This is a clash of philosophies. Reeve looks at Clark's turnovers and defensive lapses and sees a liability. The rest of the world looks at her gravity and playmaking and sees a revolution. By refusing to adapt her system to fit a generational talent, Reeve is making the argument that her system is more important than the talent itself. In professional sports, that kind of rigidity usually leads to a pink slip. The silence from the rest of the Team USA roster is deafening. In the past, leaders like Diana Taurasi or Sue Bird might have bridged the gap, but the current leadership void is palpable. The veterans who are currently on the roster are in a tough spot. Speak up and risk their own minutes, or stay silent and watch the ship sink. This lack of vocal support for Clark has likely contributed to her feeling of isolation. It is one thing to battle the coach. It is another to feel like your teammates are complicit in the mistreatment. The sisterhood of the WNBA seems to stop at the door of the Team USA training facility. Then there is the issue of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. This is supposed to be the crowning moment for USA basketball, hosting the games on home soil. The marketing plan for those games undoubtedly centers around Caitlin Clark. She is the ticket seller. She is the one who will put butts in seats at the Crypto.com arena. If she is not on that team, the buzz evaporates. NBC, the network nor-cat the games, has to be looking at this situation with absolute dread. They paid billions for rights fees, expecting to showcase the biggest stars. A Team USA without Clark is like the 1992 Dream Team without Michael Jordan. Still good, but missing the magic. The pressure from the corporate side to resolve this feud is going to be immense. But here's the twist. Clark doesn't need them. That is the fundamental shift in power that Reeve and the Federation failed to calculate. In the past, the Olympics were the only way for women's basketball players to get global exposure and massive endorsement bonuses. That world doesn't exist anymore. Clark is already a global icon. She sells out arenas in Indianapolis, New York, and Las Vegas. She has signature shoes, commercials, and millions of followers. The Olympics would be a nice cherry on top, but it is no longer the Sunday. Team USA needs Clark to stay relevant in the mainstream conversation. Clark does not need Team USA to be a superstar. This specific benching incident also highlights a failure of player development. The job of a national team coach is to take the best pieces and fit them together, not to smash the pieces that don't fit your favorite shape. Great coaches like Coach K with the men's team adapted their schemes to fit the talent of LeBron, Kobe, and Durant. Reeve's refusal to do the same for Clark is being viewed as a failure of coaching, not a failure of the player. It suggests an insecurity, a fear that if Clark succeeds in playing her way, it diminishes the coach's authority. It is an ego battle where the collateral damage is the sport itself. We also have to consider the unrivaled league and other off-season opportunity. With new leagues popping up that offer massive salaries and equity to players, the allure of playing for Team USA for free, essentially, is diminishing. If the environment is toxic, why would a player risk injury and mental health to be there? Clark has options. She can spend her off-season building her body, working on her game, and playing in leagues that celebrate her talent rather than suppress it. Her decision to quit is actually a rational business decision. Why work for a boss who hates you when you can run your own business? The media landscape has also shifted. In the past, the Federation could control the narrative through friendly journalists. Now, independent creators, podcasts, and social media channels are dissecting every possession. When reports of the benching leaked, they were analyzed instantly by thousands of fans who know the game. You can't hide the truth in the footage, the body language, the stats, everything is scrutinized. When Reeve claims basketball reasons for sidelining Clark, the internet pulls up the receipts, proving otherwise. The gaslighting doesn't work anymore. So what happens next? The ball is firmly in USA Basketball's court. They have a decision to make that will define their next decade. Do they back their coach, effectively banning the most popular player in the world from the national team, or do they make a change at the top, bringing in a coach who understands how to manage modern superstars? Rumors are already swirling that back-channel conversations are happening to gauge the interest of other coaches who have publicly praised Clark. If Reeve is let go, it will be spun as a mutual parting of ways, but everyone will know the real reason. However, if they stick with Reeve, they are risking a full-blown boycott from the fan base. We have already seen viewership dips when Clark sits on the bench in the WNBA. Imagine the ratings disaster of an Olympic team that deliberately excludes. The merchandise sales alone would take a massive hit. It is a game of chicken, and right now Clark is driving a tank while USA Basketball is riding a bicycle. The leverage is entirely on her side. Ultimately, this story is a tragedy for the sport. We should be celebrating a team that features the combined talents of Aja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and Caitlin Clark. That trio should be destroying the world by 40 points a game and creating highlight reels that last forever. Instead, we are talking about egos, benchings, and toxic politics. We are being robbed of basketball history because the people in charge cannot put their personal feelings aside. It is a disservice to the game and to the fans who love it. The quitting narrative is also a test of Clark's mental fortitude. By walking away, she is protecting her peace. She is refusing to let a toxic environment drain her love for the game. It is a mature decision, but it is also a sad one. It signifies that the rot inside the program is too deep to be fixed by just playing through it. When a player of her caliber decides it's not worth the hassle, it is an indictment of the entire organization. It proves that the culture of Team USA has become exclusionary rather than welcoming. As we look toward the next few months, expect the PR machine to go into overdrive. We will likely see anonymous sources leaking stories about Clark's attitude or defensive deficiencies to try and justify the coaching staff's behavior. This is the standard playbook. Destroy the character of the person you pushed out. But will it work? Clark's reputation as a teammate in Iowa and Indiana has been stellar. Her teammates love her. The disconnect is specifically with this national team setup. The smear campaign will likely fail, just like the strategy to bench her. We are witnessing a staring contest with the highest stakes imaginable. Cheryl Reeve has made it clear she won't bend the knee to the Caitlin Clark hype. And Caitlin Clark has finally decided she's done begging for a seat at a table where she isn't welcome. The confirmation of her stepping away is a massive blow to the national team, but it might be the only way to force a real change in leadership. The question you have to ask yourself is this: is Team USA Basketball arrogant enough to think they can win gold and keep the fans without Caitlin Clark? Or did they just sign their own death warrant? The clock is ticking, and for the first time in history, Team USA is looking like the underdog in the court of public opinion. It was the announcement that everyone feared, but nobody actually thought would happen. After months of silence, cryptic interviews, and one of the most controversial Olympic snubs in sports history, the bridge between Caitlin Clark and Team USA hasn't just been burned, it has been completely incinerated. While fans were hoping for a reconciliation before the next international cycle, coach Cheryl Reeve has reportedly doubled down on her stance, leading to a shocking development that insiders are calling the final straw. If you thought the 2024 roster drama was bad, what just happened behind closed doors has changed the future of women's basketball forever. We are witnessing the total collapse of the relationship between the face of the sport and the institution that is supposed to represent. The latest explosion stems from a closed-door training camp that was supposed to be a fresh start for the program. According to leaked reports from inside the gym, what should have been Clark's opportunity to prove herself turned into a blatant display of disrespect.